Good morning, everyone. Happy race day. Chris here with Jagerbomb's Fantasy Sports as well as DFSR.com. I'm here to talk some racing for Fontana. We're in race 2 of the regular season. We got some interesting stuff to pay attention to today. We don't have all the news as of right now. Good morning, Liz. Fortunately, it's just me today. You don't get Dane's pretty face on here. He is tied up for the day. I believe he's in and out of chat. So if you want his comments, he's definitely been in chat sharing that as well. You can reach out and DM, ask him some questions. We got locked shortly after. I believe it's 4:30 Eastern today. I'm going to double check on that here in just a minute, but I believe it's right around there. So we got lots of time here. What we are paying attention to here early in the day is we had a lot of incidents. I believe there was 10 incidents between the practice and qualifying, which was split into the two groups. Each group had 15 minutes of practice, and then each group had single car qualifying, and then the top 5 from those went into the final round. So I'm just going to go over a few guys here and some news that we do have. Kurt Busch, he starts from the rear. He failed tech 3 times, and tech was before the practice and qualifying. So he has to also, he's not only starting from the rear, but he has a pass-through penalty on lap 1 for failing 3 times. I think he lost his crew chief and car chief as well. I'm sure there's going to be a fine in there too, but he did pass on the 4th time, so I don't think the fine or points deduction or anything like that's going to happen. But for the race today, so yeah, he's going to be starting from the rear. He's going to be doing a pass-through penalty. Looking at, how many cautions are probably going to be projected for today, I think he's going to get that lap back pretty fast. Let's go over here. Just give me a second. I got about 14 tabs open, so bear with me here in the short term. Over on the sheet, I wanted to look at his practice speed. So first of all, first thing we see with Busch is he's got excellent top 10s here in 6 of his last 9 trips. So that stands out. He did show 14th, so some mid-range, top of the field speed in that practice, but he will be starting from the rear. But I do think he makes a good GPP play just simply because I think he can get that lap back fast. I think people that are depending on the contest you're in, more higher stakes, I don't think he's maybe as sneaky, or maybe, I guess I'd like to hear your guys' opinion, to be honest with you. Competition caution at lap 20. There could even be 2 cautions before that. And they might end up eliminating that competition caution, but everyone's changing tires. They allowed everyone to go ahead and change tires because all the spins and stuff that they had yesterday. So there's still a lot of news coming in. The other big one, so that's Kurt Busch. Talked about him. He's going to have that pass-through penalty. Justin Haley changed an oil cooler prior to tech as well, so they didn't even qualify the car because they're already starting from the rear. I believe they're going to have an extra set of tires because of that as well. So he's going to get fantasy points where he is posted, and he is down here 35. So that's really good there. He's got elite place differential upside. He's still in his car, in the original car. Very cheap here, so he's one that stands out. Something I have here is the practice qualifying differential. So that's just looking at, he was 18th in practice, 35th in qualifying, gives you a -17, which kind of stands out there as well. Another one, Bubba Wallace is going to be at the back as well, but again, 34th because that happened in that first round of qualifying. So he's going to get his points from 34th. He was fast. So I do like him as well as a top value. He's a -27 there. Kurt Busch -22, and Justin Haley. That's the only 3 that really stand out in terms of the qualifying practice differential. Guys starting from the rear. Other guys that had incidents, Kevin Harvick. They did repair the car. I did post in chat this morning. The crew chief there, Childers, said that, likely would be like a couple weeks working on the old car, in the body shop and stuff to get that car going. So one, it shows how much better these cars are when they do have incidents, that they can repair those cars at the track. So that's good to see. We will find out very shortly, and probably fairly early on in the race, these repaired cars, how well they're going to show speed compared to the cars that are, just the ones that came into the track and practiced and qualified the whole entire time. So interested to look at that. Now, in terms of Kevin Harvick himself, and I'm going to go back and answer some questions here. So if you guys have answered some questions, I'm going to go back to that tab here shortly. I'm just going to kind of keep going with my train of thought here with these cars that are going to the rear. Chastain's another one. But first of all, Harvick here starting 32nd. He didn't practice, so he didn't get any practice, qualified 32nd. Now, what I like is, first of all, starting 32nd and his price. If he was in the 10 to 11K range here, I didn't look at that other contest on DraftKings today, which is your post-qualifying salaries. I'm assuming that he's probably up in that 10K range starting 32nd. But if we go to the matrix, which I use often here, Kevin Harvick starting 32nd, he can hit 6X at 55.2 points. Well, for Harvick, that's only a tenth. He can do that without even getting a top 10. So I like that right there. I like the upside. Do I think he's a top 10 car? I think it's very risky. Didn't have any practice here. He's been good here in the past. So, there's a lot of experience with the track itself. They do have the sticky stuff on the track, so it's a little bit different. No practice time. Haven't raced here in 2 years. They took last. So there's definitely a lot of risk there, but I believe the floor is high enough. Like we can still hit 5X at 46 points, which for him is like a 15th, 16th place finish. I think that's a really nice floor in that 14th, 15th range for Harvick with upside of 6, 7X, possibly even more. So I do like it. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to Harvick there. The other one I wanted to discuss, Chastain was in a really hard hit into the wall. He is in a backup car starting 33rd, but he'll start from the rear. Not really that big a deal. That's like what do we got in the race? 36. So it's only a -3 points starting at the start of the race. I like it too for a place differential. If we go look at Chastain, he's gotten better each and every time here in the Cup cars, 29th, 28th, 17th. So I think he's probably got that 15th to 20th upside, probably 20th to 25th place floor. And that puts us in a range over here. 15th to 20th is 46 to 36 points. So that puts us kind of in that 4.5 to 5.5X range. And I think he can probably even get some more upside. Trying to say there, I think he could probably in that 10th to 12th upside range, which puts him over that 6 up into that 7X kind of range. So definitely like that as well. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano both spun out in the final round of qualifying. I don't believe there was any damage, but both worked on their cars, I believe, and both are going to the rear. So I'm going to stay tuned to that. Make sure to, if you are a member, jump in and check the NASCAR news channel. We can check it all out there. So I'm just watching that channel closely. The biggest thing we're watching for here is Kyle Busch. He's been working on his car, so I'm going to assume that he's going to the rear today. I'm just going to go. I'm back in chat here now. How does the place differential work with Kurt Busch? Okay, so what happens with Kurt Busch there, Andrew, is because he went to the rear before qualifying, he still gets his points, but still, he didn't put that qualifying lap, or did he? Just let me check here. Yeah, so he's starting 36. He's going to get points from that 36 position. The only one that isn't getting points from his posted position on here as of right now is Ross Chastain. He'll get points from 33rd, but he's starting, I believe he'll go right to the back. But we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out because we also got Kyle Busch, who, if he goes to the rear, he will only get points from 3rd because his adjustments came after qualifying. Anything that comes after qualifying sends you to the rear at the start of the race. Any adjustments that happen after qualifying. So we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. For those other guys, I'll be in chat. I'm going to try and keep this video to about 30 to 40 minutes. After that, please join me in chat. I'll try and be sharing everything from Bob Pockers also on Twitter, so you can follow me there. Yeah, I believe Bubba fixed that car on the 23 for sure. Oh, I see you explained that already. Sorry, I was just kind of going through all these tabs. So thank you, Eric. I really do appreciate you answering some of these questions for me. No Dane today has me just kind of cycling through everywhere. Usually when Dane does his talking about his drivers, that's when I go and get all of my other sheets, my next set of information open. So we don't know. Redneck Crypto, we're not sure yet. He was working on his car this morning, so I would assume that would be a, unapproved adjustment and he would be going to the rear, in which case he would score from the 3rd position still, adding a ton of risk because at his price he needs about 50 laps led, or 50 to 60 somewhere in there, laps led plus fast laps for him to be able to hit his value. So if he goes to the rear, he's probably going to be a full fade for me today. Even if he wins the race, he still needs, let's go look at the matrix here first of all. I'll kind of explain that here. So Kyle Busch starting 3rd. If he goes leads 50, 20, say he doesn't go to the rear, still at 50 laps led and 20 fast laps, that only gets him just over 5X. Now, something I added here, if you want to go check it out, is the Past Perfect Lineups tab. This is from 2020 and 2019. So what we see here, a couple things. I think we see more of this 2020 race where we had 4 guys pick up double-digit place differential because we have so much place differential. Duh, obvious. I'm not jumping out on a limb there by any means, but we also had a dominator in here, Alex Bowman, and then over here we had Kyle Busch dominating. Brad Keselowski give us the double dip of place differential and laps led, which allowed this perfect lineup to punt Corey Ware at just under 3x. But what we've seen here is to win the GPP, get the perfect lineup. It's between 6.5 to 7x to cash good. And that's not the optimal lineup. These are the perfect lineups based on salary and points per dollar crunched together. But if you're looking at just cashing, 5x is going to be comfortable. 6x is probably going to put you at the top, I would say, top 1% of the GPP. So that's kind of how I use the fantasy matrix. So if he goes to the rear, I don't think he has a chance at leading 50 laps at all. Just simply because if we go back and look at past Fontana track history and see where these lap leaders have came from, Alex Bowman, 3rd. What do we got here? We got Blaney, 16th. We go over, we got Kyle Busch, 134 from 4th. Brad Keselowski from 13th. Then we've got Martin Truex from 1st. We've got Kyle Busch from 2nd. So like 187 laps came from the front row there. We've got 110 from Kyle Larson. We got 73 from Martin Truex. So for the majority of the lap leaders, the dominators in these races at Fontana are coming from the first 4 rows. We do get some sneak in guys that come from, say, 10th to 15th. So don't count those guys out of dominator that are in your 10th to 15th. And I'm not completely going off practice either. This is a little bit tough for the model this year, just simply because we only have that 150-minute practice, and with qualifying coming up right after, these guys, for the most part, are going to be working on their qualifying. But we did see a lot of cars go out there and make a lot of laps. So that's something on the new practice tab as well. You're not going to see it here this week, but I was working on it, is I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 lap averages. But I've also got posted not just the times now for the practices, but how many laps they did. So we can kind of track that as well and see, get a little bit more information in terms of the practices moving forward with them being shortened. Chase, I missed that final round of qualifying. I believe he spun out. Didn't hit anything either. So, but again, all these guys, now it's all going to pretend. I know they said they could change tires. I really wish they would just give us this final information on here, but we're just going to have to wait and see. All right, so moving on here. So I added the past perfect lineups. You can definitely go check out. Win a GPP, like I said, 6x, 7x. That is the perfect lineup, these ones that you see here. So take a little bit off. That's probably going to be your optimal lineup for winning. What else do I want to go over here? Okay, so prize picks I added on here as well this week, and this will be on the DK Fantasy Matrix tab. And the reason I'm putting it on there going forward is because the scoring is the same as DraftKings. You get your 0.45 points for fast laps. You get 0.25 points for projected laps, and then you get your +-1 for place differential. So I've got that on here. It's a lot easier to tell and do your research for prize picks on there in terms of the fantasy scoring. That's mostly what I play. I'm not really playing a lot of laps led stuff. Okay, back to the cheat sheet. Some drivers that I really like. Right now, assuming Kyle Busch goes to the rear, like I said, I'm going to be pretty much taking him out of my model. There's going to be some adjustments here as well. So I do like Kyle Larson. He's got the best place differential of these expensive guys. He's also got probably the best chance of giving you both double-digit place differential plus laps led. So I definitely like Larson. He's right up there in my model for sure. If we go look at him, let's just assume he gets up and leads 20. I think he's going to lead some laps, but that gives him 6x, and he only needs 20 laps led with his win to give you up in that 6x. So getting 6x from someone that's over 11K is excellent. If you even take out and just assume he wins in the last lap, you're still getting almost 5x for him for a win. That there's just some safety there with that. Coming off a championship season, he's fast everywhere. He's won here. He's got top 2 finishes, like you see here, 3 times in the last, 7 races. So definitely like that. Kyle Larson would be my top up here. GPP pivots off of him. Going to be looking for, and my top dominators. Yeah, Randy, I'm just going to jump into dominators here. Thank you for bringing that up. Is Elliott and Hamlin. Now, it all depends, again, on Kyle Busch. I'm just continually monitoring this news channel waiting for some information. But again, I'm assuming he's going to the rear. If he doesn't, I like Kyle Busch as a Dominator, leading 50 to 100 laps somewhere in there. If he goes to the rear, I don't see him leading 10. It's going to be very tough for him to not only get up back inside the top 10, top 5, and get to the front, but to dominate the race. We just don't see that anymore. The cars are much closer together. This isn't, let's go ahead and say 2015 Bristol. Kyle Busch going to the rear and just working his way through and ended up dominating the race. So that's not going to happen. So if he goes to the rear, I'm taking him out. And I do like Hamlin. The Toyotas were fast in practice, so I do like Hamlin leading some laps. He would be my top Dominator. I think Chase Elliott can lead some laps. So these top 3 guys for sure. I think Hamlin has the best shot starting 4th. Like I said, I like guys starting in those front 2 rows. So Denny Hamlin for top Dominator. Probably Elliott for second, but I'm pretty split on Larson and Elliott who's going to lead there. Looking at their practice times, they were 11th and 21st, but Elliott was first in the 10-lap averages. And there was quite a few drivers that posted. There's 15 drivers that posted 10-lap averages in that practice. So I do like Elliott there. So I'd probably rank them Hamlin, Elliott, Larson in terms of my lap leaders. And then in terms of just overall plays after we get out of this top tier, so yeah, it would be core play Larson and then GPP pivots, depending on which one you like for Dominator, would be Elliott or Hamlin. So my lineup construction right now, looking at the top, I like pairing Larson with one of Elliott or Hamlin. That's where I'm assuming Kyle Busch is going to the rear. My start, if I was doing 20 max, probably 50-60% of my lineups would be Larson and one of Elliott or Hamlin. Let's just say I did that in 8 lineups. So 8 lineups with Larson and 4 with Elliott and Larson, 4 with Hamlin and Larson. I'd probably run 3 more lineups and run Elliott. I'm not really actually liking running Elliott and Hamlin together because I think they need those Dominator points. If they are the 2 that have the Dominators, like we've seen in the past, maybe one gets 50, one gets 100. I think that's going to work out for you. So it's just a little bit more risk going Elliott and Hamlin together. Probably maybe only do that maybe once or twice if I was going to try and go contrarian that route. But again, it's mostly Larson, Elliott, Larson, Hamlin for me at the top. Moving down, I really like Alex Bowman. He won here last trip in 2020. He's starting 14th. He's only 9K. He was 5th in first practice, so that was nice to see some speed out of the car in practice. I think if we go here, we're looking for about 45 for his floor, which is about a 6th or 7th. Upside second place finish is going to get you in that 6X range. I think that's going to be fine, assuming you have, let's say 3 or 4 other drivers with double-digit place differential in your lineup. I think that's totally going to be fine. Moving on, I talked about Kevin Harvick place differential. I just think the floor is just way too high. He doesn't even need a top 10 to hit 6X. That's what stands out to me right away. He can get 6X just outside of a top 10, and I think he's got top 10 upside. He's probably more... If I had to project a finishing position for Harvick in this race, it would probably be 9th to 12th, 9th to 13th, somewhere in there. He's obviously can win the race. He's a championship driver on a good team, but not practicing, repairing a car, there's some question marks there. For cash games, he's a lock for sure, because I think you can get that 5X, which 5X is going to get you in cash for sure. And he can hit that 5X at just simply in between a 14th, 15th place finish. He's not going to kill you with an 18th place finish at 39 fantasy points. Not going to kill you at all because it's just under 5X. It's, about 4.5 somewhere in there. Not going to kill you at all with a finish like that. So the floor is very high for cash. I think the upside is maybe somewhat capped for GPP. But again, at 9,200, it's hard not to. And you can easily pair Larson, Elliott, and throw Harvick in there as well. Or you can go down to a Kurt Busch. Again, that's going to be a little bit more risky because he is going to be having a pass-through penalty at the start of the race. Going down further, I like Tyler Reddick for GPPs. Again, I think he's going to be low-owned starting 11th. He's kind of my breakout driver for the year. He showed a ton of speed at a bunch of different tracks last year, and he can hit that 6X with like a third-place finisher. I think he's going to get some fast laps, possibly even an outside chance at some lap sled. And if he can somehow get in and sneak in, let's say 20 lap sled and a couple 10 fast laps, we're now looking at a 6X return for an 8th place finish. I think that's totally doable. So if he can sneak some laps led in there, if you think that is a possibility, Tyler Reddick is a great GPP play at low low ownership projected, because he is sandwiched right between, well, Ross Chastain starting at the rear, place differential, Kurt Busch place differential, Kevin Harvick place differential. Then you scroll down here even more. Love Almirola, starting 31st. Like I talked about in my DFSR article, and if you scroll up to the top of the chat here, you will find that. Doesn't look like I can copy paste, but it is at the top there. I will post it again after. But like I talked about with Almirola, he's got good track history here, and it's his last year in Cup. He started out, he looked good, showed some speed last week. 8th, 9th, 12th, his last 3 trips here to Fontana. He's starting 31st, even if you don't think he's a top 10 car. I think that's totally fine. 44.4 points gets you 6X, and that's a 15th place finish. So even if you think 15th is his upside, he is an elite play. He's going to get you 6X at that 15th right there. And if we can get 6X out of 4 out of our drivers, and then maybe, if you even get 6X out of obviously all of them, you're going to be looking really good on the day. So Almirola stands out to me. Bubba Wallace, 34th place differential. Justin Haley. So we've got a ton of place differential plays here. So if you want to be contrarian, it depends on how contrarian you want to be. First of all, I would say if you want to be a little bit contrarian, don't want to have, share win-ins with 1,000 of your friends, or, have the same lineup as 1,000, 2,000 of your closest DraftKings friends. Maybe limit how many of these, say Harvick, Busch, these guys starting outside 30th, limit how many of them you have in your lineup. I think for cash games, you fit 3, 4, 5 of them in your lineup if you're playing cash games for sure. GPP, in this order of going contrarian, a little bit more contrarian with each step, start lowering your exposure to how many drivers you have starting outside 30th. If you want to get a little bit more contrarian, start pivoting off of the drivers that are going to be high owned, say like your Harvick, pivot to Bowman starting 14th. If Harvick somehow fails and say he finishes 25th for Harvick is 24 points. That's a huge fail. 20th for Harvick is only 35 points. That's under 4X. That's a fail. If Harvick finishes outside the top 20 and Bowman gets, let's just say 5X, so he gets in somewhere that's 6th to 7th place, which is very doable. Absolutely. I think that's kind of like in his floor, would be like 7th to 10th. Love that. That is huge leverage with Bowman over Harvick or Busch, depending on which one you're pivoting off of. And you could pair Harvick with Bowman and then fade Busch, or Busch with Bowman, fade Harvick. Now, obviously, the Bowman and Busch lineup is going to be very low owned because you get Kurt Busch doing that. He's probably going to be the lowest owned of the guys starting outside the top 30 just because of that pass-through penalty adds a ton of risk. So going with like a Bowman Busch here would be super contrarian, in my opinion. Pairing Reddick with one of these guys as well. But again, lowering your exposure to how many guys you have starting outside of 30th is the best way to go contrarian without really adding a whole bunch of risk to your lineup. But if you're into adding risk, and I'll probably have 50% of my 20 max today with these pivots from like Bowman, or maybe only having 3 drivers starting outside 25th and then 1 Dominator, 1 outside Dominator, maybe in that 10th to 15th range, and then 1 more maybe starting inside 20, something like that. Oh, I love risk. That's how you win these GPPs. And with NASCAR, we got a small field, so you really have to get out there and find those low ownership guys. And now that doesn't mean, and this is why I use the Matrix, and me and Dane talk about the Matrix at length week after week after week, is just simply because if you don't think Kyle Busch is going to lead laps, playing him is dumb. Because the most he can get you, he can't even get you 5X with a win. So if he doesn't lead laps, it's just, he's not going to be in the optimal lineup. So that's why I just use this. And I love adding this prize picks on here now. And a couple that actually stood out to me while I'm on the topic. I like Bowman at 40.5, which gives you a 9th place finish. Now, depending on his fast laps and stuff, let's just call it a 10th place finish. So Bowman with the top 10, I like that. Another one that I like, Reddick at 36.5. That's a top 10 for him. That's a little bit more risky. We got Bell at 40.5. He's another one of my top plays here today. That's probably one of my favorites, like points per dollar wise. He can get you 6X at a 8th place finish. I think he can get some fast laps. Toyotas were fast, so I definitely like that. And he's, again, a pivot in this range. You got Almirola and Bubba below him. You've got Chastain, Kurt Busch, and Harvick above him. So guys that I like to pivot off of those, we got Bowman, Reddick, Bell. Those are my top 3 pivots in this mid-range off of the place differential. Sorry. Some in my throat. Take a drink here. Going to go about 5-10 more minutes here. Going to go over some value plays, a couple more prize picks guys that stand out, a couple of bets. Actually, something I want to talk about here real quick. I mentioned it in chat. Another thing I'm adding to the sheet. I'll have these, these perfect lineups on here, and that's from Line Star. And then I just go in and I add start position, finish position, Dominator points, that sort of thing, just to give it a little bit more, so we can kind of compare each and every week. So that's going to be new. The new practice model is going to be new. And then the other thing that I'm going to add to the sheet that I've started on, I've only got this many tracks covered, but I'm looking at all the tracks, last 10 races on every track in NASCAR. And then what I started doing was looking at passing. So I want quality passes, pretty much looking at where is it easy to pass, where is it not easy to pass. And then what I did was quality passes per race. But then, some races got 500 laps, some races got 100 laps. So then I went down to quality passes per lap for each track. So I wanted to get just a little bit different tracks on this to start with. So I've got 12 tracks done so far. And the reason I know it's working, because Talladega and Daytona, easiest tracks to pass, right up here at the top. Don't worry so much about the metrics, but all that means is over the last 2 races at Talladega, there's been 0.751 quality passes, and I'll have to get the definition for that for you. From the website I use is the Racing Reference website. Get you the definition of that actual quality pass, but that just means 0.75 quality passes per lap. So obviously you get a lot of these short tracks, especially the flat ones. They're a lot tougher to pass. We see those numbers down quite a bit, ranked down here. We do see Pocono, Fontana, and Michigan all about the same, but Fontana out of those 3 is definitely the easiest to pass. So it's ranked pretty high in terms of being able to get around. So it is a very wide track, very comparable to Michigan, 2.5 mile. The only difference here is Fontana is 14 degrees, so a little bit more on the flat side, while Michigan is 18 degrees. Custer, I'm glad you brought that up, James. Let's jump back and go over to that. Love Custer. Looked fast yesterday. He's in good equipment. The 41, Stuart Haas here, starting 21st. What did he do last year? So he finished 18th. Just pretty solid. Let's go look at started 18th, finished 18th, high of 13th in that race, average run of 21st. So he kind of outperformed his average run a little bit. No fast laps, no laps left. Give you 25 points. So that was probably a fail. I'm not sure what his price was last year, but I'm assuming that was a fail. Starting 21st at 5,900 today, though, down in this range, we would love a 6X at 35 points. That is like a 15th place finish. And I think that is totally doable for his upside. For cash games, which I do like him for cash games as well, probably a little bit more for cash games, because I don't feel he gets more than a 15th place finish here to get you that 6 to 7X to win a GPP. He's definitely going to get min cash GPP or cash games, but 29.5 points. We're looking at like 17th, 18th. I love it. I'll take that 17th, 18th place finish. So down also in this range, we've got McDowell. Don't think he's got a top 20 here. No, 22nd, 24th. So really not great track history, starting 23rd. The price is fine, but for McDowell, I do like Custer more than McDowell, even though he's got 2 less place differential, because we're looking at about for that 5X, like a 19th, 18th, 19th for McDowell. That's kind of pushing his upside. And if his upside's 5X while Custer's is 6X, I'll take Custer in that situation. So that's kind of where I am there. I also like Ricky Stanhouse Jr. Let's go look at it here. He's got some really solid finishes here. He hasn't crashed, which that's what, he gets the label, Recce Spinhouse. Since 2014 here at this track, hasn't finished worse than 22nd. And if we go look at the matrix here real quick, 31 points we're looking at like a top 15 out of him to hit 5X. I think he's got 10th to 12th upside. He has done that before. He's got a top 5 here in 2016, long time ago, different car. But good to see top 20s in 3 straight. So if we're looking at a 20th place finish here, 20 points isn't going to get it done. We're going to need like a 17th. So there is a little bit of risk here. So he is down, probably more GPP, I would say. I do like Cole Custer, the favorite out of him, Stenhouse, McDowell, and I do like them in that order. You really want to go contrarian if you think this is one of those races where we get one of these lower equipment to get up and lead some laps. If Erik Jones can lead some laps, I think he's got some upside here. So 32 points is going to get you 5x for Erik Jones with no laps led. That's a 7th place finish. Can he hold on to a top 10 finish at this track? I think that's kind of upside, but if he can lead early, if he can get out front, let's say he leads all the way to the competition caution, gets you 10 fast laps. Let's just save him 5 fast laps. Now, all of a sudden, that 32-point floor, we're looking at like an 11th place finish. I think that's fine. There's a lot of risk here. He's going to be very low owned, in my opinion, but I think you could go that way. He did show a fast car, so probably more on prize picks. You only need 18.5 points for him. You do not need laps led. This is where I like playing him the most because you're looking for about a 13th. Can he hold on to that? I think that is definitely doable. And if he can lead even 10 laps early, say he gives you 2 fast laps only, now all of a sudden to hit that 18.5, you're looking at a 14th, 15th place finish. So definitely fine there. Ty Dillon, I see that, Randy. Starting 18th, he would be probably 4th, 5th in my value list down here. In that 42 car, lesser equipment. 18th is his best finish. Probably, I would say, tough to say, but I would say better equipment. Let's go check it out here in the Petty GMS this year. So if 18th is his ceiling, we are looking at 25 points. That's just over 4x. That's not going to get there. Maybe for cash games, that's going to work out fine for you, but you're going to need 5 to 6x for him to be in your GPP lineup if you're looking to get any money out of it. And that is a 14th to 17th place finish. Unless there's chaos, that could very well happen. I don't see Ty Dillon getting 14th to 17th, 14th to 18th. I see him more as like a upside of 18th to 22nd, probably more in the 20th to 25th range for me. So I won't have him in mine. Okay. So yeah, in that range, Ty Dillon, you're looking at, in my personal player pool of value plays, and I'm going to include Justin Haley here. So Haley would be number 1. Let's even go Bubba Wallace up to the 7K range and down. I like Haley, Wallace, then Custer, Stanhouse, McDowell, and then Ty Dillon. Those would be the only 6 I have in this range that I'm going to have exposure to, and I like them in that order. Trudeau giving me COVID. I better not say any words or they'll ban my YouTube channel, get censored. Anyway, moving on back to NASCAR. Some bets. So this is on Cool Bet. This is one of the sites I use. I couldn't get Poker Stars to load up here. I do like Poker Stars better because I can bet top 5s, top 10s. Cool Bet, I can only bet outrights. It's very interesting. I don't mind betting Kyle Larson today. I think he's got a really good shot to win if Kyle Busch starts from the rear, especially. I don't know if anyone has seen news on that yet. I'm still trying to grab that. But again, I'm going to assume he goes to the rear. His odds have not changed. I'm actually going to reset that just to see. Because at plus 550, that tells me he's not going to the rear. But again, this site is lacking updates when it comes to that stuff, which can be an advantage as well. They're not going to adjust to qualifying. They're going to post their pre-race odds. So if you get a guy that's priced down and all of a sudden he's showing really good practice time, he goes and he qualifies in the top 5, but his odds are somewhere down here. This site especially, and I know a lot of sites do it with NASCAR, especially the ones that do post pre-practice qualifying odds, you can find it's going to take them a couple hours before they get the official starting lineup. So if you're watching chat while I'm, if you can't actually watch qualifying and practice, I'm almost watching every single week in chat. And I'm going to start really monitoring that to see if we can get some from that. Yeah, that's what I'm monitoring too, Eric. And, those two, with those two, and I've also got, what's his name? Jeff Gluck on there as well. So in that NASCAR news, those are the 3 guys that I've got there, and that's kind of what I've been watching. I haven't seen nothing yet, so we're going to have to pay attention. Again, we've got 3 hours to lock. I believe it's a 3:30 lock. I'm going to go ahead and double check that now, since I said I was going to before. See, having this Dane on here, is just great because I can go and check these things while he's talking. Sometimes I can multitask really well, but when something's going on, when Dane's talking to my ear and he comes back and asks me what I thought, sometimes it's like, I forget which drivers you just mentioned as I was doing something else. So yeah, 2:30 lock here today. for this race. We've got 3 hours, just under 3 hours now until lineup block. So one of my, Eric, actually, I seen your question in chat earlier too, and I looked and looked and looked, and I could not find anything on what they were working on. It was on the rear end on Kyle's car. They had the back left jacked up, the picture that I seen in the garage, working on it there. So I'm not real sure what that would be. I didn't see anything in terms of practice or qualifying, maybe the final round, because I did miss the final round I was driving. So I'm not 100%, but seeing them work on a car in the garage in this new format tells me they're going to the rear, because they said the only adjustments you're allowed to do after practice and qualifying is anything you can do on pit road during the race. You do any more adjustments than that, you're going to the rear. That's just with what they are doing is impounding the cars after practice qualifying all the way to the race. You can make those minor adjustments on pit road before the race, but any adjustments in the garage are going to send you to the rear. So that just, again, tells me Kyle Busch is going to the rear. Don't bet him at plus 550, because I think those odds obviously are going to come down once that news comes out. What I want to talk about with these outrights here, take another drink here first. Kyle Larson. Normally we see these races that he's won where he can dominate, where he's like plus 200, plus 250, and it's just, I remember always saying that. You can't bet him at plus 200, plus 250 in NASCAR with all this risk involved. Plus 400, I'm really starting to consider a bet on Kyle Larson. I really, really am. I know we're probably going to see, my guess is, not counting the stages, 4 to 5 cautions from spins. Maybe the spins aren't huge wrecks like Daytona or Talladega, but it adds a lot of risk for sure. And that's probably where that plus 400 number is coming in. And probably that Kyle Busch has been dominant here as well. That probably plays a factor into that plus 400. But like I said, looking at the advantages of if Kyle's going to the back and these odds are going to adjust, Kyle Larson's probably going to adjust too. He's probably going to go down to at least a plus 300 or plus 350. So I do like that plus 400. I don't know what other sites are showing. I'm actually going to open up a couple other sites here. Again, if you guys got any questions on anything else, fire away in chat and I will answer that. But for now, I'm just going to go over some betting stuff and try and look for, usually I'm looking for 2 to 3 bets. If I go Kyle Larson at plus 400, I'm probably only going to do 2 bets unless I go 2 outside. So I'm just on Bet365 now, and I'm just trying to look for their win. So they got Kyle Busch at plus 700 already, so his odds have fallen a little bit there. Kyle Larson's still plus 400, though, on there, so that's good to see. Another one that I do like in terms of outright win, in terms of odds, a little bit outside chance, but Tyler Reddick plus 1,400. I think he's going to get a win early in the season. Christopher Bell plus 2,500. I think I do like those odds as well. Bet 365. I want to check that out as well. See if we can get, no, he's plus 2,800 there. So you can get a little bit of if you're on Bet 365, you can get a little bit of a value advantage there. But I'll take Bell at plus 2,500. I do like those outside chances of him winning. For DFS, I absolutely love it. I mean, if people are just looking at track history alone, I believe he was wrapped up in a wreck last year, so not really worried at all. Also, he was in a different car. So that's not really a lot of good information there off that one finish. So people are using that. I like him more for DFS than I do betting, but I'll take a jab at plus 2,500, half unit, something like that. But Larson plus 400 has really got me. Bowman at plus 1,200 would be my second favorite. Reddick would be, say, my third in there. So Elliott, I think plus 650 is fine. If you want to go with an Elliott or Hamlin, I think that's fine. Now, if you're betting Elliott or Hamlin, I'd probably avoid Larson, or just run 2 bets and run like Larson and Elliott or Larson and Hamlin, because you still want to get value. You don't want to be betting 4 guys in the top 5 in odds, because you're just really limiting what you're going to get in return. And with a risky sport, it's kind of like golf. If you're betting a guy that's 8 to 1, you really don't want to bet a guy that's 12 to 1 and 14 to 1 and 20 to 1 and 25 to 1. It's just the guy that you've now bet at 8 to 1. A win for him gets you not a whole lot back unless you're betting more units on it, which just adds more risk. So just a little bit of discussion. We're going to talk about a lot more in the future in terms of betting and how to set up a bet card to really optimize your, it's not really a points per dollar return, but your value return when you do win. You just really want to set your bets up so that you can, again, optimize how much you get in return at the end of the race, end of the event of the hockey game, whatever you're betting. Okay, so those are some outrights that I like. that pretty much covers everything here, folks. I'm going to have my picks are highlighted on the members cheat sheet. And if you want to get that, all my top picks, access to our NASCAR chat and Discord, head over to patreon.com/JagerBombs. You can get in there. You can also grab a free trial. Just let me grab you that link for today. Free trial to our Discord. I'm going to share a few of my top picks in the Discord for free trial members as well. So you can come in there and you can check that out. I'm just going to drop that link here into chat right now. Make sure that comes through. That is the link to the free trial. If you'd like to sign up, it's $10 a month for our NASCAR that gets you cheat sheet, access to the news channel, access to our members chat room for NASCAR. I have threads each and every week with all the practice times and stuff like that, practice reports, notes on practices, qualifying, that sort of thing, weekly videos, strategy videos, tutorial videos. Dane's got an article he puts out every week, and me and him handle that. Kenny is also, hit up Kenny in chat as well. Very good in terms of putting multiple lineups, like 20, 40, multi-entry for strategy on that kind of stuff. Amazing. So, all right, that takes care of that. I'm going to get you, if you want to head over, or if you play multiple sports, head over to this link here, patreon.com/JagerBombs. Like I said, $10 a month for just NASCAR, $20 a month will get you access to all of our sheets, all of our sports channels in our Discord as well. $20 a month for that group bet. Okay, so you got Bell over Kurt Busch, Buescher, and Chastain. Love that. Plus 140. Yes, I really do, Andrew. I wish I could get some of those bets. I think I'm going to try and fire up Poker Stars here again and get into there. I think they had some group bets last week for the Daytona 500, so that's what I'm going to be looking for, along with some top fives, top tens. I will post those bets in chat as well once I get those loaded and finalized as well. And I'm going to post a core for DraftKings as well as FanDuel in the NASCAR chat. Probably 2 for members, 2 for each, 2 FanDuel, 2 DraftKings. And then one of those will be in the free trials. Free trial chat for members. And I'm just going to flip this over here. This is our Discord channel. So we've got our NASCAR news. These are all of our news channels for all of our sports. These are all of our chat channels. Our NASCAR talk channel, lots of notes and stuff going on in there. Great discussion. And then our free trial members is up top here. I will be sharing those cores in there as well. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Week 2 in the books, 4 shows. We'll be back next week. I'm not sure on the times of anything, so I'm not sure if Dane's going to be joining me or not, but I will be around for that. Stay tuned. And if you got any more questions, either reply in the comments below and Twitter @Jaeger_bombs9 or in our Discord channel. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Good luck today.